Hey guys, welcome back. So the Fallen Divinity is finally here and I've got it all painted up. I had a lot of fun painting this one. There's a lot of cool details on the model and a lot of personality. So let's go ahead and dive into how I painted this model. I started this project off by priming the model using Wraithbone spray primer from Citadel. Now this is very similar to the color of the resin, so you'll just have to trust that I did in fact prime it before painting. We're going to begin this project by painting all of the skin on the Fallen Divinity using Deamonette Hide as our base color. Once our base color is in place, we're going to take Druchii Violet. We're going to use this to shade all of the skin. This is going to help us identify where the recesses and curves in the different muscles are, so that we can highlight them in the subsequent steps. Our first layer of highlighting is going to be done using Slanesh Grey, and we're going to focus on putting this on all the raised surfaces of the muscles, and we're leaving the recesses with the darker purple that we achieved with the shade in the previous step. Our second layer of highlighting is going to be done using Warpfiend Grey, and this time we're focusing on all the surfaces where the light would catch the most. Anytime you do flesh layering like this, it's always a good idea to make sure you water your paints down so they're nice and thin, so you get a smooth transition between the colors. Now that we have that nice purple skin tone established, we're going to take Karak Stone and we're going to paint this anywhere that the skin would have been torn away because of the flesh falling off, or anywhere that there might be discoloration to the skin due to mutations or anything like that. Once that's done, we're going to take Deathguard Green and we're going to do an additional layer of highlighting in those same spots, and this is just meant to give the flesh a more rotten appearance. Now we're going to take Carroburg Crimson and we're going to lightly wash this over all the discolored flesh that we just painted. But before it can have a chance to dry, we're going to take a damp brush and we're going to use this to wick away the excess paint and try to blend the shade into the purple flesh. At this point, we're done working on the skin, so now we're going to work on all the exposed bone that's on the model. We're going to base this using Morghast Bone. Once we've established that base color for the bone, we're going to take Contrast Skeleton Horde and we're going to wash this over all of the bone. Just be sure not to go too heavy because you don't want to turn the bone completely brown. You just want to discolor it a little bit. Once that contrast paint is dried, we're going to take Ushabti Bone and we're going to layer this over all of the raised edges of the bone. Now we're going to do a second layer of highlighting using Wraithbone, and this time we're only focusing on the ridges where the light would catch on the front of the ribcage. Now it's time to begin working on the clothing on the model, and we're going to take Mephiston Red and use this as the base color for any cloth that occurs on the model. Next we'll take Carroburg Crimson and we'll use this to shade all of the red cloth on the model. Once we've allowed that red shade to dry, we're going to take Evil Sunz Scarlet and we're going to use this to highlight all the raised surfaces of the cloth, all the folds, and anywhere that we want it to appear brighter on the model. Our next step is to take Wild Rider Red, and we're going to use this just as an edge highlight on all the cloth. So we're only picking out the very edges and any of the ridges that are sharp on the model, as well as any spots where we want it to look maybe a little bit dusty or discolored or faded on the model. Now we're going to take a little detour and we're going to work on the base plate a little bit, and we're going to take Athonian Camoshade and use this to wash all of the stonework that is on the base plate. Once we've allowed that shade to dry, we're going to take Ionrach Skin, and we're going to use this to do a heavy dry brush over all of the stonework. And this is going to begin to give the model the appearance of having some sort of marble or off-white colored stone for this structure. Then we're going to do an additional layer of dry brushing using Grey Seer, and this time we're focusing on the edges and the spots that have the most texture sculpted into the stonework, and this is going to begin to brighten the appearance of all of the stone. Now we're going to take Abaddon Black, and we've got quite a bit of work to do with this color. We've got the two different kinds of wings on the model, as well as the dogs that are on the base plate, and the legs of the model. We're going to begin working on the lower set of wings on the model. We're going to use Incubi Darkness and do a layer of dry brushing over the black that we did in the previous step. Once we're done with that layer, we're going to take Stegadon Scale Green and we're going to do an additional layer of dry brushing, but this time we're only focusing on the ridges where the bone structure goes through the wings. Now we're going to go back to the base plate for a moment. We're going to put Agrax Earthshade on the inside of the head of the statue that's at the base of the feet. And we're doing this right now so that we can glue the main body of the Fallen Divinity on and work on this project as one piece. Now for the upper wing on the model, we're going to use Dark Reaper as the first layer of dry brushing. Next we're going to take Thunderhawk Blue and we're going to do an additional layer of dry brushing, but this time we're only focusing on grabbing the tips of the feathers. We're not doing the entire wing with this color. Switching gears a little bit, we're going to begin working on the legs of the model, and we're going to start by dry brushing Barak-Nar Burgundy over the legs. We're then going to do an additional layer of dry brushing using Rakarth Flesh. Once we've finished up with the dry brushing, we're going to take Karak Stone and we're going to use this to base coat the talons on the bottoms of the feet. Next we're going to take Contrast Aggaros Dunes and we're going to apply a fairly heavy coat of this to the talons. And we're trying to let it pool at the base of each talon where it makes contact with the feet. Our next step is to take Rhinox Hide, and we're going to use this in a couple different spots. First, there is fur that is on the wings, and then we're going to paint the haft of the spear as well as any leather straps that are on the model. Now we're going to quickly do a wash over all of the brown using Agrax Earthshade. You can go as heavy as you'd like with this. It's already a really dark color, so it doesn't make too much of a difference. Once that shade is dried, we're going to take Mournfang Brown and we're going to use this to highlight over all of the brown parts that we've painted in the previous steps. It's time to start working on some of the smaller details of this model. So we're going to begin with Leadbelcher. We're going to paint this on the head of the spear as well as the headband that is on the Fallen Divinity. We're going to bring out Agrax Earthshade again, and we're going to use this to wash over all of the Leadbelcher parts that we painted in the previous step. Next, we're going to take Balthasar Gold, and we're going to paint this on all of the discs that are hanging around the waist of the divinity. Now we're going to take Nihilakh Oxide and we're going to use this on those copper coins to give them a verdigris effect. Now when we do this, we're not going so heavy that you can't see the copper underneath. We want it to still show through in some spots. Now it's time to begin working on the dogs that are on the base plate. We're going to begin by taking Screamer Pink and we're going to paint this lightly in all of the spots where the flesh is torn on the dogs or any spots where we think it needs to be a little bit discolored and bruised. Next, we're going to take Rakarth Flesh, and we're going to use this to pick out some of the details, such as the ribs, or any of the spots where we want the flesh to look a little bit more discolored than it already is. Once that's all done, we're going to take Carroburg Crimson, and we're going to wash this over all of the pink and Rakarth Flesh that we painted in the past two steps. And this is going to turn that Rakarth Flesh into a somewhat pink or purple color. Now we're going to take Dark Reaper and we're going to use this to layer over the muscle, highlighting all of the raised surfaces of the muscle and leaving the recesses black. Once we're satisfied with the layering on the muscles, we're going to take Mechanica Standard Gray and we're going to dry brush this on all of the fur that is hanging down off of the dogs. Our final step in this project is to take Evil Sunz Scarlet, and we're just going to very carefully dot each of the eyes of the hounds using this color. And with that, we've finished painting the Fallen Divinity. Thank you so much for watching today. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, go ahead and like it and then subscribe to my channel so you can see future videos. And then go ahead and comment down below and let me know what you think of the Fallen Divinity and whether or not you're going to add one to your army. As always, have an amazing day and we'll catch you in the next one.